Hello, and welcome to our Sampled Tech Talk. My name is Harris Chowdhury. I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at Sampled. And today I'm joined by Mike Whatmough, who is the Senior Director of Global Technical Services. Hi, Mike. Thank you for joining us today. Why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your role here at Sampled?
Hi, Harris. Thanks for having me. Sure, yeah. As you say, I'm the Senior Director of Global Technical Services here at Sampled, which entails the responsibility of the UK Stability Storage Suite based at our Glasgow facility, and also for our technical services team that are based in the UK and in the US.
Thanks, Mike. Today we're going to be discussing disaster recovery. So can you tell us what disaster recovery is to start off with and why it's so important for business continuity?
Sure. For disaster recovery, particularly in the sample storage sphere of work, is really about having additional storage space available to you if in the event that there is a catastrophic failure or an unforeseen incident that would render your existing storage facility in a non-usable or a non-operational condition. So that said, if you can have some provision in an alternative location or in alternative equipment that you can actually quickly move your samples across into those pieces of equipment, then it means that you can continue your stability studies, sample studies quite easily with minimal impact. That's obviously very important for business continuity because all businesses want to continue their operations, and by having that disaster recovery in place, then you wouldn't necessarily see any break in your business, and they could continue to operate in and amongst any disasters that may occur.
Great. How easy or difficult is it for researchers to set up disaster recovery solutions themselves?
Well, when setting up a disaster recovery and you're trying to do it internally, you've got to consider the type of trials that you're running, the conditions, the quantities that are on store, and then you've got to replicate or have equipment or areas ready to take that product in case of disaster. When on site and the small studies, then that can be relatively straightforward in terms of small units, small studies being moved. But when you start to look at the whole holistic picture of your stability program and the number of samples that are on store across multiple conditions, that can soon add up from capital expenditure to put that equipment in place ready for the event that may occur. And you've got to, obviously, not just the capex, but you've got to find the space within the facility to do that. Make sure you've got all the intrinsic infrastructure in place, whether that's from monitoring to backup power generators, to be able to run that in the case of a disaster. So even if you went down that route and you put all that in place for a disaster, that doesn't get away from the fact that it's on the same site. So ultimately, if there is a disaster such as a site power outage or a flood or a fire, or even as extreme as a building collapsing, then your samples are all, or the disaster recovery is in the same place as your samples. So the disaster recovery is then not available to you. This can result in the loss of data, the loss of samples, and your stability program. And if we consider that the stability program storage can last from anywhere between 6 months and 5 years, that's a lot of data to lose within that from that study. So it's important to consider these things when setting up your own disaster recovery.
That's really interesting. So if it's quite tricky and expensive to try and put disaster recovery solutions in place yourself, what would be the benefits of outsourcing disaster recovery to an outsourced provider such as Sampled?
Well, outsourcing to a company such as Sampled would, firstly, enable you not to have to spend capex on storage space that is really set for disasters and not necessarily for operational purposes. So, in that instance, there's a saving then, and any spend on an outsourced proposal would be coming out of an OPEX budget. So from that respect, from a budgetary point of view, it's easier to deal with. But in terms of an operational point of view, if there is if you do have an unforeseen circumstance and there is a disaster, there's peace of mind that you can actually get your samples to our secure facility, and we would have teams there ready to accept those samples and put them on store. So therefore, you can keep your stability program running and ensure that the data is available further on down the line when doing all the data analysis of the product storage. Um, the thing that kind of sets us apart is that we are experts in storage. It's something that we've got years and years of experience of doing, or we've got the necessary equipment and the space to be able to take samples at short notice. And we have the infrastructure in place. So we've got all the monitoring systems, the on-call teams to accept samples. We've got the backup power systems in place. So we've got our own business continuity plans in place as well to ensure that we can look after samples when they arrive with us. The other benefit is potentially that if you've any real critical trials that you've got on store, or even for all trials that you have on store, you could duplicate those trials and store offsite as well. So you've got studies running in parallel. So if you do have a disaster on site where you lose, even as far as lose a building for a fire, and you actually lose all your samples, you've got the confidence that actually there's a duplicate study on store external at a completely different site. So again, your program continues to run, and you don't lose that research data that you spent a long time and a lot of money collecting.
Thanks, Mike. And thank you for watching this sampled Tech Talk. We hope to see you at the next one. Goodbye.